Half Dead is a game so blatantly based on the movie Cube, I'm currently betting money on it being struck by the great hammer of license holder copyright claims. Of course, for the time being, Half Dead is a game for a single dollar on Steam. Now, being an extremely cheap indie game on Steam that isn't bad rats, it does a lot right. It follows the three major indie game tenets of being simple, addictive, and of course cheap, but it also goes that extra mile to be graphically and stylistically impressive as well, without falling into that pit of indie game that looks pretty good but is impossible to run. Of course, aside from some shiny graphics and being so cyberpunk it hurts, there's some interesting and addictive gameplay there as well. For those of you that aren't part of the small handful of people that have seen the movie Cube, here's a quick synopsis. Cube is a movie about a group of people trapped in what seems to be a massive, mind-numbingly elaborate cube composed of multiple smaller moving cubes. Some of these cubes have fatal traps in them and some don't, and the group of prisoners inside have to figure out increasingly convoluted ways to find out which ones will spray acid down their pupils and which won't. The movie falls under the hard-to-reach category of psychological thriller, and since the game is the same concept but in a two-dimensional death trap instead of three, I'm guessing you can make the obvious genre connection there. The gameplay mostly consists of avoiding traps by throwing shoes or forcing friends into the rooms in the relatively small 5x5 to 8x8 grids the game has to offer. Your shoe and or friend sets off whatever traps may be in the room, of which there are two kinds. The lethal kind of trap, which locks whatever triggered the trap inside the room permanently, never letting so much as a drop of blood or shoelace out, and the non-lethal kind, where the trap will emerge from a wall or ceiling, take a second to prime itself, and then do whatever it does to kill you. During this priming time or after the trap has done its thing, you're free to walk through the room, though it's incredibly easy to get trapped in one of these supposedly non-lethal rooms if you don't open another door in time or open a door only to find it's a locked-off room. This leads to some immensely tense moments, be it with friends where only one of you makes it out of a room alive, or when you're on your own, listening to the game's fantastic soundtrack and drinking in the surprisingly rich atmosphere. Now, there's not much variety to the traps, and 8x8 is fairly small for one of the largest maps the game has to offer, leading to some short and disappointing matches. The game is also a tad buggy, though this is to be expected of an early access game, and some of the grammar in the game is atrocious, but this is to be expected of a Russian indie game. Now, all in all, I could have also gotten a Pepsi for the same price, but a Pepsi would have lasted me 5 minutes, whereas this game has lasted me roughly 2 hours, and a Pepsi is just pretty good, while this game is great for what you're paying for.